Welcome to Cancer Update 77. It is the 8th of October 2023, and I thought what I would do today is a catch-up, basically. So way back in Cancer Update 16, I did an update called The Story So Far, which was to get everyone up to date with what had happened to that point. But we're now at Cancer Update 77, so we're now 61 episodes further down, and I have a lot more subscribers now, and that means there's probably quite a few of you, probably literally thousands of you, that have come in partway through the story. And that means you probably have some unanswered questions. So I thought I would take this opportunity to answer those questions and to bring you up to date. So if I go right back to the start, so if we go back to 2022, I had a motorbike at that point, and I was getting pain in my neck. When you're riding a motorbike, you check your blind spots quite often. And in checking my blind spots, I was sometimes getting, sorry, Brown Bunny. I'll talk about Brown Bunny later. I found that I was getting a pain in my neck, and I went to my doctor and I said, hey, I'm getting this pain in my neck. I'm wondering if I can get a CT scan just to see what's going on there. And we got the CT scan, and it came back with some unexpected results, which was that my C4, C5 vertebrae had fused, and I had bone spurs on, it was C4, C5, C5, C6, C6, C7. Now, it's really unusual for vertebrae to fuse on their own. That's quite unusual. It is, however, not that unusual when you have a particular condition called ankylosing spondylitis. So what my doctor did was she then sent me off for a blood test for ankylosing spondylitis, and it came back positive. So it turns out that I do have ankylosing spondylitis. So at that point I said, well, if I've definitely got this disease and it's already fused some bones in my cervical area, what's it done in my thoracic and lumbar region? Could you please send me for another scan to scan the rest of my vertebrae? And my doctor said, yeah, sure, that's fine, and gave me a prescription to go and get that done. Now, this is where the story changes quite dramatically, and I'll pop up on the screen the findings from that CT scan. So I'll pop them up here, or I might have to whack them down the bottom, so I might wipe out some of the screen. But basically what it says is incidental finding of large ascites in the abdomen, moderate, predominantly left-sided colonic diverticulosis appreciated, no significant abnormality in lungs or mediastinum appreciated in this non-contrast study, no sinister osseous findings. So then down in the conclusion, the first conclusion is minor degenerative changes in the thoracocolumnar spine, because remember, that's what I was actually asking to be assessed. Secondly, no sinister osseous lesions or acute bone injury seen. So my bones are in good shape. Thirdly, incidental finding of large ascites and moderate left side colonic diverticulosis as stated. A cause for ascites could not be determined. There is some omental fat stranding in the anterior abdomen as well. Now, the doctor actually rang me and and said, can you urgently come in? We need to discuss this. And the reason is that ascites is the gold standard what would you call it, symptom of stage 4 abdominal cancer. So if you look up the definition of stage 4 abdominal cancer, it will say the existence of large ascites is what defines this as existing. So I went into that experience wondering how far my ankylosing spondylitis was in my back, causing my back pain. I came out of that experience with stage 4 abdominal cancer. So very rapidly, I went from feeling like I had a normal life expectancy and normal things for my age, like a bit of back pain and what have you, into, mate, you might not actually have too long left to live. You better go home and make some plans. So that was quite a dramatic shift in my brain. Several of you have asked, was there any signs in the lead up? Now, as this story goes on, what you're going to find out is I end up having the final diagnosis is pseudomyxoma peritoni from an appendiceal primary. The thing about appendiceal cancer is that it's completely painless and symptomless. So somewhere prior to that finding on the 17th of April this year, somewhere prior to that, my appendix became cancerous, and it spat all of that tumorous tissue around my abdomen, and the ascites then washed it all around. So it's like having a washing machine, but instead of using nice detergent to get your clothes clean, you're using oil to get your clothes dirty. So basically I was washing tumour over everything within my abdominal cavity, which is why I now have tumours on every organ in my abdominal cavity. So the answer to that question, did I feel anything on the way to where I ended up? No, I didn't feel a thing. I didn't feel a thing specifically. I'll explain more at the end of this video. So that was the first sign there. Now I'll pop up on the screen an image from that CT study, just to give you a bit of an idea of what it actually looks like. So if you look at that picture there, and I'm going to assume you're not medically imaging familiar. If you look at, so the bottom, the part that's closest to the bottom of your screen is my spine. You can actually, in the middle bottom there, you can actually see my my vertebrae. And those two lumps either side of that are my kidneys. So I would describe the lower part of that diagram or that image there as being relatively normal, except for the fact that my kidneys appear to be surrounded by ascites. That's that black space. However, the front or the upper part of that image is an absolute disaster. Omental fat and large intestines are not meant to have that torn apart, almost crocheted look about them. That is diseased tissue, and that is that omental fat stranding and the diffuse nodularity of the omentum. That's what it looks like on a CT scan. So that is what pseudomyxoma peritoni looks like. So that was where, from an imaging point of view, we started to realise that we were in trouble. On the 2nd of May 2023, we have that was when I had the contrast CT, because of course the first one was a non-contrast CT. So, and this time, instead of looking for issues with my vertebrae, they were specifically looking for, why has this guy got ascites? So on the 2nd of May, we have this report here saying no suspicious bone lesion. Ascites and diffuse omental abnormality is concerning for peritoneal carcinomatosis, but a primary lesion has not been identified. Multiple small, non-specific foci in the liver, too small to further characterise. Now, peritoneal carcinomatosis is a catch-all term. So the peritoneal part just means it's something to do with the peritoneum, and that's the abdominal cavity where all of your intestines and that sit. Everything below your diaphragm but above your pelvic base is your peritoneum. Carcinomatosis, so carcino is Greek, and it means cancer, and autosis just simply means related to, so it means related to cancer. So peritoneal carcinomatosis means something related to cancer within the peritoneum. So it's a very general term. And it says a primary lesion has not been identified. So in other cases, they may go, oh, I can see that there's a lesion, I can see it in the appendix. Or often, and obviously not in my case, you can see a lesion in the ovaries. But obviously not in my case, I don't have ovaries. Or you might see something in a large intestine or something, and you see, oh, that's where it started and it's now gone everywhere. In my case, they weren't able to find an obvious primary at that time, and even to this day they haven't found a definite primary. Part of the funny thing about the appendiceal cancer is when the appendiceal cancer or the tumour spits itself out, the appendix at that point is actually healed. It actually then goes back to being a normal, happy appendix. It has spat all of the poison all through the abdominal cavity, but the appendix itself is then cancer-free. It's unfortunate, but that's how the appendix cures itself of cancer, by poisoning everyone around it. It's like the worst of neighbours, if you ask me. I don't trust appendixes anymore, by the way. So that happened on the 2nd of May. Then on the 19th of May, 2023, I had one of my ascites drains, and they took some of that acetic fluid and they did cytology on it. And this is a extract from that cytology report. The conclusion is the ascitic fluid is atypical and the features are highly suggestive of pseudomyxoma peritoni. So at that point, we knew exactly what we had, and they did test other bits of fluid from my ascites, and they confirmed that, yes, this is most absolutely pseudomyxoma peritoni. So by late May, we knew exactly what I had. What happened then? So I was then referred up to Joondalup Hospital for a staging laparoscopy. So the idea was a surgeon that specialises in peritonectomies, which is basically where they remove all of, well, in effect, peritonectomy literally means removal of the peritoneum. You do still need a bag there to hold your guts in, but you actually can remove a whole heap of your peritoneum and still be a functioning human. The options for me getting a peritonectomy in Perth were quite limited, but there is a surgical team up at Joondalup Health Campus that do offer that. But before they will offer it, they want to do what's called a staging laparoscopy, which is where they put a camera inside. They give you a PCI rating. So PCI stands for Peritoneal Cancer Index. It's a score out of 39. And from there, they decide how they feel about giving you the CRS plus HIPEC operation, which is the cytoreductive surgery plus hypothermic interperitoneal chemotherapy. I won't get into CRS plus HIPEC today. It's a huge topic, and I'm hoping that next Wednesday I'm going to be offered it, in which case I'm going to spend a lot of time describing it to you. So I won't shoot off all my bullets today. I'll save a few bullets for next week. So the idea of that staging laparoscopy was to assess me for the CRS plus HIPEC operation. Now, when that surgeon put the laparoscope inside me, what he found was tumours everywhere, and the tumours were larger than 5 centimetres. So the way the PCI scoring system works is there are 13 regions in your abdomen. Each one of those regions is given a score out of 3. So 13 times 3 is 39. That's why the index, the highest score you can get, is 39. Now, as it turns out, to get a score of 3 means you need to have tumours greater than 5 centimetres in existence in that region. In my case, every single one of my 13 regions has tumours larger than 5 centimetres. So I scored 13 times 3 equals 39 out of 39. So I scored the highest score possible for PCI. So I have large tumours and I have them everywhere within my peritoneum. At that point, the surgeon said, look, Paul, I'm not comfortable operating on you at this point. Your tumour load is too high. What I recommend to you is to go and have some chemotherapy to reduce the size of the tumours, because if you can get the tumours down to under 2.5 centimetres in size, instead of being a score of 3, there'll be a score of 2. And so 2 times 13 would be a score of 26, for example. But maybe you could get some where the tumours are actually very much smaller. Maybe they're even gone. So he recommended I go and do 6 months of chemotherapy, which is 12 rounds. So he recommended me to an oncologist. I went and started on the FOLFOX 6 regime. So here's a picture of me here from the 13th of July 2023, receiving some chemotherapy. So I guess I'll pop that up there somewhere. So that's a picture of me there. And the bag, if you look there, the bag is purple, and part of the coding, purple means cytotoxic. So whenever you see someone with a purple bag, it means they're being infused with something that's cytotoxic. So I started getting the FOLFOX 6 chemotherapy, and I was getting that every second Thursday because you get it every 14 days. In conjunction with that, my ascites started to get really quite frequent in how often I needed to be drained. So here is a very unflattering photo of me from the 20th of September. So there you go. That's about as unflattering as it gets. But that's an indication of the volume of ascites that my body was producing. So it tended to be the case that every second Thursday I'd go for chemotherapy, and on the interleaving Thursdays, or the interleaving week somewhere, I would go off to Fiona Stanley Hospital and get an ascites drain. So it was chemotherapy drain, chemotherapy drain, chemotherapy drain. So that was quite exhausting. My ascites, as it turns out, was extremely mucinous, and mucin comes from the same root words as mucus or mucosa, or that snot in your nose. So here's a picture here of my ascites showing you some of that mucus, or it's called mucin, that is floating around in my ascites. So it's not just a simple matter of draining out the liquid. You have to be aware that it's full of these floating semi-solids. So a lot of you have written to me and said, hey, why don't you get a permanent drain put in? The reason we can't put a permanent drain in is because it would get blocked very quickly by the mucin. And once it's blocked, it's an inserted device. So it's not like you can just pull it out, clear it, and push it back in. It's medically inserted in me. So I would need an operation to have it pulled out, cleaned, and put back in, which would be to be honest, be a total pain in the ass. So we've not gone down the route of putting in a permanent drain. During this journey, I became aware of PMP pals. So that's this mob here. I became aware of them through a wonderful woman that is now a very close friend of mine named Roberta, that now refers to me as her second husband. So bless you, Roberta. And even though I'm not Jewish, so how about that? Roberta made me aware of the PMP Pals support group, which is a group based in the US, but it is a worldwide group for people that are dealing with PMP. PMP is the pseudomyxoma peritoni. So I joined that support group, and there was a wealth of information there. If you're watching this and you actually have pseudomyxoma peritoni yourself, I strongly encourage you to join pmppals.net. If you click on the support button, under there's another one called Zoom calls, or Hope Zoom, I think it's called. That'll put you onto a mailing list of Zoom calls where we all get together and we all have a chat about our various situations. And I attend the one that is Wednesday night in the US, Thursday morning in Australia. So if you want to actually go to one where I am, then go to the one that's Wednesday night in the US, Thursday morning in Australia. In that group, I became aware of a trial for a drug called BROMAC. Now, BROMAC is, the company running it is this company here. So Muck Farm is the company running it, or the research agency, I think they are, that are running it. And basically BROMAC is a protein derived from pineapples. So there is a supplement you can buy at the chemist called bromelain, which is a dietary supplement to help your digestive system. I believe the two are related, but they're not exactly the same. But they are both derived from pineapples, as it turns out. Now, I applied for that trial, but I was ultimately found to be not a suitable candidate for the trial. But something wonderful happened, which was that in the process of being assessed for that and being found to not be applicable, I got to know, or my name and my situation became known to the team at St George Hospital in KOGARAH in New South Wales, in Sydney. And whereas the surgeon in Perth said, look, I'm not prepared to operate on you with a PCI of 39 out of 39, and fair play to that surgeon. That surgeon, I think, has a team of 2 people. So he is only offering what he can deliver, and with a team of 2 people, he can only deliver a certain amount. the team in Sydney said, Paul, we don't care if you've got a PCI of 39 out of 39. We will talk to you, and if we assess that you can stand the operation, we will operate on you, even if you have a PCI of 39 out of 39. Now, bear in mind, they have a much bigger team than the team in Perth, so I don't wish in any way for you to come away from this thinking that the Perth team are bad and the Sydney team is good. It's not like that. It's just that the Perth team is a lot smaller than the Sydney team. The Sydney team has been around for a lot longer, has more people working for them, and is associated with the University of New South Wales. So they've got all of these research budgets, and they've got all of this extra stuff going on. So what ended up happening was, although I was turned down for the BROMAC trial, one of the senior doctors said, Paul, could you send us a copy of your CT scans, PET scans, and MRI scans, because we might be able to help you. And I sent those through quite some time ago, and at that stage I was in round 4 of my chemotherapy, and what that doctor said was, look, you've already done 4 rounds of FOLFOX and you've committed to doing 6, so let's not change course halfway through. Do the 6, do what you're committed to. But at the end of that 6, let's not commit to doing rounds 7 to 12. Because remember, the original doctor was saying, do 12 rounds. This doctor here is saying, I'd like to talk to you after you've finished 6. And to be honest, by the time I'd finished 6 rounds, I was so exhausted of the chemotherapy, I really, really did not want to go and do another 6. So that doctor in Sydney said, okay, you've finished your 6. I'd like you to fly over to Sydney because I'd like to meet you in person, and I'd like to assess you for the CRS plus HIPEC. And this is the team here. So it's the St George Peritonectomy and Liver Cancer Unit. So that is who I will be meeting next Wednesday. And I'm really excited by that. I'm hoping that they will find me suitable to operate on. Then I'm hoping they do operate on me, and then I'm hoping that the operation is a success. So I'm a long way from having a fantastic outcome happen, but I feel like there is a way to thread the needle. There is a possibility where things might actually turn out quite well for me. The reason I have Brown Bunny here is because it came up in the last video. Would I take one of my plushy animals to Sydney? And in the end, I said, I think I'll take Brown Bunny. So Brown Bunny was given to me by my mother. And the way my mum used to bond with me was, she basically at Easter, because we had this whole Christian, mum was really Christian and I ended up not being Christian. But so things like Easter and Christmas would be times where mum would get a little bit more bold with me. And one of the things that she started doing was at Easter, she would give me an Easter bunny and she'd go, here, this is my present to you. And I really liked it. And now my mum's passed away. These are happy tears, by the way, so don't worry about me. Now that my mum has passed away, I've still got Brown Bunny and White Bunny. And they bring me great joy. So I'm going to take Brown Bunny with me to Sydney to come on my journey with me, and just to hold, just to remember my mother, and to have that inspiration to fight the good fight. You know, my mother would want me to live, so I need to do all I can to live. And at this stage, that means I need to look at these conventional therapies like CRS plus HIPEC. I do receive a lot of messages from you talking about alternate therapies. I should point out to you, you don't need to keep telling me about the alternate therapies. I am very, very much aware of the Joe Tippins protocol and Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and there's a Baltimore clinic. There's the keto diet, there's the water fasting diet, there's turkey tail mushrooms, there's vitamin D, there's tons of alternate things that you've pointed out to me. please stop. It's not that I don't disagree with them. And by the way, it's not that if conventional medicine doesn't work for me, I will look at these alternate medicines. So please don't think that I'm saying, I think you're wrong. No. I may well end up trying, for example, the Joe Tippins protocol. It's just that before I go down the alternate medicine route, I need to completely exhaust the conventional medicine route. And the next conventional medicine thing for me is the CRS plus HIPEC operation. There are some things on the alternate medicine thing that I don't even think should be considered alternate. Things like turmeric and ginger, for example, and vitamin D, for example. I think it's perfectly reasonable to have those in a normal diet. I don't even see those as alternates. I just think that they're part of a healthy diet. So please don't think I'm putting you off. But please do stop putting them in the comments, because I am aware you don't need to keep telling me about all those things. So that's where we stand at the moment. It's Sunday afternoon here in Perth. It's a mild day outside. I've sold my motorbike jackets this morning, so I'm continuing on with my Swedish death cleaning. So I'm divesting things out of my life. I'm feeling okay. I have had a bit of breakthrough pain, and certainly I've been sleeping more than 8 hours a night, but I describe myself as I'm feeling okay. And particularly given that I'm getting an ascites drain tomorrow. So I'm right at the end of my ascites cycle. So today is 17 days since I had my last drain. Tomorrow will be 18 days. I will never again make the mistake I made on my last cycle where I went 21 days. That was too long. That I was bursting at 21 days. It was extremely painful. I will not make that mistake again. So, actually, no, I think today's 18 days, tomorrow's 19 days. Because I wanted it to be 18 days, which is today, but today's a Sunday, so I couldn't get a drain. Yeah, so tomorrow will be 19 days. So I've cut the cycle back from 21 days to 19. And to be honest, that seems right. Unless my ascites starts to speed up, it looks like I need a drain every 18 to 19 days. So that's good. But bear in mind, when I go to Sydney, if they say, yes, we are going to operate on you, then I won't need to have a drain, because they will drain me as part of the operation. So tomorrow might be, conceivably, could be my last ever ascites drain ever. Because if I have the operation, one side effect of the operation can be that my ascites stops. Either stops or slows significantly. So, that's a bit of potentially good news, is tomorrow might be my last ascites drain ever. Anyway, I've gone on a bit. I'm at the 28-minute mark. I am sorry for rabbiting on a bit there, but I do have a rabbit with me, so I'm going to use that as an excuse. So please do click the care button. I love it that our subscriber numbers, they're ours, remember, our subscriber numbers are going up. I'm enjoying having you come on the journey with me, even though I am quite aware that this journey may well end with my passing away. Even in that case, I'm still glad that you're coming on the journey with me, because I feel like there will be people that come after me that certainly that get cancer, but potentially that get pseudomyxoma peritoni from an appendiceal primary, even though that is so extremely rare. And I want to have a resource there so that those people can refer to it and maybe get some solace from it, or, just know that someone went before them, and this is how they did it. So you can at least benefit from my successes or my failures. At least you can see those things. So okay, I'll sign off here. Thanks from Paul in Perth, and I might do an update tomorrow. We'll see how we go. I've already filmed a lot of the ascites drains, so I don't know if I really need to particularly film this one, but who knows? Maybe I'll make an update tomorrow. See you later. Bye-bye.